Tell me why my missing sister's hotel key is in your bloody shirt." The accusation cracked across the lobby before Elena Brooks realized the room had stopped breathing. 20 minutes earlier, the 29-year-old housekeeper had been invisible, pushing a linen cart past men in tailored suits who never looked twice at her soft curves or tired face. Now she stood beneath a chandelier, clutching a brass key stamped 814, while the most feared Mafia boss in Chicago watched her with eyes as cold as winter steel. Dante Moretti was rich, untouchable, and bleeding through a white shirt someone had abandoned in the penthouse. Elena had spent 6 weeks searching for her younger sister, Mia, who vanished after accepting a temporary job at the Belladonna Hotel. Police called her an adult who had probably left willingly. Their landlord called Elena desperate. Her co-workers whispered that a woman her size should stop chasing trouble and be grateful she still had a job. Elena ignored them all. Mia would never disappear without taking the silver bracelet their mother had given her, and the key in Elena's hand had been hidden inside Dante's bloodstained cuff, wrapped in a strip of blue fabric cut from Mia's favorite dress. Dante took one measured step toward her. His bodyguards shifted, but he lifted 2 fingers and they froze. Up close, he was taller than she expected. His black suit fitted perfectly, except for the dark red stain spreading beneath his vest. A shallow cut marked his cheek. He looked less like a wounded man than a king deciding whether mercy had value. "Where did you get that?" he asked. His voice was quiet, which frightened Elena more than shouting would have. She tightened her fist around the key. "From the shirt in your bedroom. Now, tell me where Mia is." For the first time, something changed in his face. Not guilt, recognition. Dante glanced at the blue fabric, then at Elena, studying the stubborn lift of her chin and the fear she refused to show. "That shirt is not mine," he said. A few men exchanged uneasy looks. Elena almost laughed. "It was hanging beside your gun cabinet, because someone wanted it found." He reached for the key, but she stepped back. His gaze dropped to the bruise circling her wrist. The coldness in his expression sharpened. "Who did that to you?" "My sister is missing. That is the only question that matters." Before Dante could answer, the elevator chimed. A glamorous blonde in a silver gown swept into the lobby with 2 security officers behind her. Vanessa Hale, the hotel owner's daughter, had mocked Elena for years, smiling whenever guests complained about uniforms stretched across her body. Tonight, her smile vanished when she saw the key. "She stole from the penthouse," Vanessa announced. "Call the police." Dante never looked away from Elena. "Interesting," he said. No one mentioned a missing key until she held it up. Vanessa's face tightened. Then Elena noticed a fresh scratch across Vanessa's hand, caught beneath the chandelier's white light. The scratch matched the broken clasp on Mia's bracelet, which Elena had found outside the service stairwell 3 nights ago. Her pulse kicked hard. "You saw her," Elena whispered. Vanessa turned pale. One security officer moved toward Elena, but Dante stepped between them, blocking her. The room fell silent again. "Nobody touches her," he said. The officer stopped instantly. Dante removed his jacket and placed it around Elena's shoulders, covering the uniform Vanessa had used to shame her. The gesture was gentle, almost careful, but his next command carried steel. "Lock every exit. Search floor 8. Vanessa laughed too quickly. "You cannot shut down my father's hotel over a housekeeper's fantasy." Dante turned to her. "I can buy this hotel before sunrise." Then he looked at Elena and his voice lowered. "Your sister was in room 814. She saved my life tonight." Elena's breath caught. Dante opened his blood-stained vest and revealed a photograph inside. Mia stood beside him in a security camera image, pointing toward someone outside the frame. On the back, written in Mia's handwriting, were 6 words that made Elena's knees weaken. "Trust my sister. The traitor knows her." Dante's words struck Elena harder than the accusation still hanging in the lobby. "The traitor knows her." She read the message again, tracing Mia's handwriting with her thumb as if the pressure of her touch could pull her sister back into the room. Around them, the hotel's marble lobby had transformed into a controlled prison. Dante's men sealed the glass doors, shut down the elevators, and quietly separated staff from guests, while Vanessa stood beneath the chandelier pretending not to be afraid. Dante watched Elena, not with pity, but with the sharp attention of a man calculating every danger around her. "When did you last speak to Mia?" he asked. 6 weeks ago." Elena forced her voice steady. "She called me after midnight. She said she had found something dangerous and needed a few days before coming home." "Did she name anyone?" "No." She sounded scared. Elena looked toward Vanessa, but she said someone at the hotel was watching her. Vanessa folded her arms. "This is ridiculous. Mia quit without notice. Elena has been creating drama ever since." Dante turned his head slightly. "You know her sister's name." Vanessa's confidence slipped for half a second. "She worked here. Everyone knew her." "Then you should also know," Elena said, "that Mia never quit." Her locker was emptied before her final shift ended. Vanessa opened her mouth, but Dante raised one hand. Silence fell again. He studied Elena's face, then the key marked 814. "Take me to the room." Vanessa stepped forward. "That floor is under renovation. Then it should be empty," Dante replied. His calm tone carried more threat than anger. He led Elena toward the private elevator, keeping himself between her and the gathering staff. Inside, the mirrored walls reflected the contrast between them. Dante stood tall and controlled, despite the blood beneath his vest, while Elena clutched his jacket closed across her chest, aware of every tired line in her face and every curve Vanessa had taught her to hide. Dante noticed her pulling the fabric tighter. "You do not have to make yourself smaller in my presence," he said. Elena looked at him sharply. "I'm not afraid of you." "I did not say you were." The elevator rose. "But you are used to apologizing for taking up space." She stared ahead, refusing to let him see how deeply the words landed. When the doors opened on the 8th floor, the hallway was dark except for emergency lights glowing red along the carpet. Plastic sheets covered the walls, and the air smelled of dust and fresh paint. Dante drew a compact pistol from beneath his vest, but kept it pointed toward the floor. "Stay behind me. Mia told you to trust me, not hide me." His eyes narrowed, almost impressed. "Then stay close." They reached room 814. Elena inserted the brass key, but before she turned it, Dante caught her wrist gently. "There is blood under the door." A thin, dark line marked the carpet. Elena's heart lurched, yet she pushed the door open. The room was empty. No body. No Mia. Only an overturned chair, a shattered lamp, and a trail of blood leading toward the window. On the bed lay Mia's silver bracelet. Elena rushed forward, but Dante caught her around the waist before she stepped onto a loose panel hidden beneath the rug. The floor collapsed where her foot had been, revealing a narrow service shaft below. For one suspended second, Elena remained against his chest, his arm firm around her, his breath warm near her temple. "Someone expected you to come here," he murmured. Elena pulled away, shaken by both the trap and the unexpected care in his grip. Dante searched the room while she examined the bracelet. One link had been bent open and closed around a tiny memory card. "Mia hid this," she said. Dante removed a secure phone and inserted the card. A video appeared. Mia stood in the hotel kitchen, secretly filming Vanessa handing an envelope to a man wearing Dante's family crest. The man turned toward the camera, and Dante's face hardened. "That is Luca Ferraro," he said. "My head of security." "In the recording," Vanessa whispered. "Moretti signs the merger at midnight tomorrow. After that, the girl disappears permanently." Elena's blood went cold. "They were talking about Mia and me," Dante said. "The merger transfers control of this hotel to my organization." Someone planned to kill me here tonight and make the attack look like a rival hit. He touched the stain beneath his vest. Mia warned me seconds before the shot. Elena looked at him. Then where is she? Before he answered, the lights died completely. A phone rang inside the dark room. It was Mia's ringtone. Elena found the device beneath the overturned chair and answered with trembling fingers. A distorted voice whispered, "Bring Dante Moretti to the basement alone, Elena, or your sister will not survive the night." Then the line went dead, and behind them, the door locked from the outside. The locked door rattled once, then a metallic click sounded above the ceiling. Dante moved before Elena understood the danger. He pulled her against the wall and covered her with his body as white gas began pouring through the air vent. "They are not trying to kill us," he said, tearing a strip from the plastic covering the furniture and pressing it over the vent. "Not yet." Elena held Mia's phone tightly. "They want you in the basement. They want me separated from my men." Dante crossed to the window and looked down 8 stories at the narrow maintenance ledge. The city lights glittered beyond the glass, beautiful and indifferent. "And they expect you to lead me there?" Elena stared at him. "You think I'm part of this?" His expression remained unreadable, but his answer came without hesitation. "No." The certainty in his voice shook her more than suspicion would have. Dante fired once at the door lock. The suppressed shot cracked through the room, but the reinforced bolt held. The gas thickened. Elena's eyes burned as she searched the ruined room, refusing to wait for rescue. Mia had survived here long enough to hide evidence. She would have left another way out. Elena dropped beside the collapsed floor panel and aimed Mia's phone flashlight into the service shaft. A steel ladder descended between pipes, and 20 feet below, a maintenance door stood open. "This leads to the 7th floor utility corridor," she said. "Housekeeping uses it during renovations." Dante looked at the narrow opening, then at Elena's full figure. She knew what he was thinking because she had heard it from strangers her entire life. Too large, too slow, a problem. Her jaw tightened. "I can fit." Dante removed the weapon from his hand and placed it inside his jacket around her shoulders. "I was deciding whether the ladder can hold both of us. No mockery, no doubt, only strategy." He lowered himself first, tested the steel, then looked up. "Come to me." Elena climbed into the shaft. The ladder groaned, but Dante kept one hand beneath her boot and the other around the rail, guiding rather than pushing. Halfway down, a bullet tore through the floor above them. Splinters rained over Elena's hair. Dante shielded her with his shoulder. "Move." They reached the utility corridor seconds before armed men entered room 814. Dante closed the maintenance door and pressed Elena into the darkness beside him. Their faces were inches apart. She could feel the controlled rise of his chest and the tension in the hand resting protectively at her waist. Footsteps passed beyond the wall. One man spoke into a radio. "Ferraro wants the woman alive. Moretti is optional." Dante's eyes turned lethal. Elena whispered, "Luca knows who I am." "Because," Vanessa told him. Then Mia was not the original target. Dante watched her realize it. The hotel key, the hidden message, the trap designed specifically for Elena. Someone had expected her to keep searching. Someone needed something only she could find. Dante led her through the corridor and opened a service door into the laundry room, where 2 frightened employees stood beside overturned carts. The moment they saw Elena, one raised his phone. A security alert filled the screen. Her employee photograph appeared beneath a red warning. "Armed suspect wanted for attack on Dante Moretti." Elena's stomach dropped. "They framed me." The message claimed she had stolen a weapon, assaulted Vanessa, and lured Dante to room 814. Surveillance stills showed Elena entering the penthouse and holding the bloodstained shirt, but every image of Luca and Vanessa had been removed. "By morning, the police will believe I kidnapped my own sister." Dante took the phone and crushed it beneath his shoe. There will be no morning version of their story. He called his second-in-command, but Luca answered instead. Your men belong to me now, Luca said calmly through the speaker. Bring Elena to the basement. Sign control of the hotel over to Vanessa's father. And Mia walks away. Elena stepped closer to the phone. Let me hear her. A struggle sounded, followed by Mia's weak voice. Elena, don't come down. The files are not on the memory card. They are inside Mom's bracelet. The call ended with a sharp impact. Elena looked at the silver bracelet still clenched in her hand. Dante examined the bent link and found a tiny engraved sequence beneath the clasp. It was not a code for a computer. It was a safe deposit number. What did Mia find? He asked. Elena finally remembered the package her sister had mailed 2 days before vanishing. The package Elena had hidden beneath a loose floorboard in their apartment because she had been too afraid to open it. Proof, she whispered. Proof that Luca has been stealing from your organization for years. Dante's face hardened, but before he could respond, the laundry room doors burst open. Vanessa entered with hotel security behind her and a pistol trembling in her hand. Give me the bracelet, she ordered. Dante stepped in front of Elena. Vanessa smiled nervously. Protect her if you like, Dante, but you should know what her sister confessed. Mia Brooks was not investigating Luca for you. She aimed the weapon past him, directly at Elena. She was investigating the man who murdered your father. Vanessa's pistol remained fixed on Elena, but Dante did not move aside. My father was murdered by the Caruso family, he said. That lie kept you obedient for 15 years, Vanessa replied. Mia found the truth, and now Elena is holding it. Behind her, 4 security officers blocked the laundry room exits, their uniforms hiding the loyalty Luca had purchased. Elena could feel Dante's jacket around her shoulders and the weight of his pistol inside it, but reaching for the weapon would expose him. Vanessa's hand was already trembling. One frightened movement could end everything. What does my mother's bracelet have to do with Dante's father? Elena asked. Vanessa's smile sharpened. Your mother worked in this hotel when Carlo Moretti died. She was the last person seen leaving his private office. Elena's chest tightened. Their mother had never discussed her years at the Belladonna. She had only warned her daughters never to return after dark. You're saying she killed him. I'm saying she took something from his body. Dante turned slightly, studying Elena's face. He was searching for deception, but all he found was the shock she could not hide. Vanessa continued, enjoying the wound she had opened. Mia learned that your mother kept evidence inside that bracelet. She came here looking for answers and discovered that your family's survival was purchased with Moretti blood. Elena's fingers closed around the silver links. For years, the bracelet had been a symbol of the only woman who ever made her feel beautiful without asking her to change. Now Vanessa wanted to turn it into a chain of shame. My mother was not a killer, Elena said, and neither is Mia. Then give me the bracelet and let the evidence prove it. Vanessa extended her free hand. Dante's voice dropped. No. The single word silenced the room. Vanessa stared at him. You would protect the daughter of the woman who murdered your father. I am protecting the woman standing in front of me until I know the truth. The merger dies at midnight if you choose her. Then it dies. Elena looked at him. His entire organization needed the Belladonna deal to control the city's eastern routes, yet he had abandoned it without hesitation. He was not choosing evidence over power. He was choosing her dignity over a convenient accusation. Vanessa's face twisted. You always were too much like Carlo. She tightened her finger on the trigger. Elena saw the movement and acted. She slammed her palm against the emergency steam valve beside the industrial dryers. A cloud of hot vapor exploded between them. Vanessa cried out and fired into the ceiling as Dante pulled Elena behind a steel laundry cart. He drew the pistol from his jacket, but Elena caught his wrist. The workers are still here. Dante understood immediately. Instead of shooting through the steam, he kicked the cart toward the guards, knocking 2 off balance. Elena grabbed a heavy linen bag and swung it into Vanessa's arm. The pistol skidded beneath a washing machine. Dante disarmed the remaining guards with controlled strikes, while Elena pinned Vanessa's wrist beneath her knee. "You called me slow for 3 years," Elena said, breathless. "You should have paid closer attention." Dante secured Vanessa's hands with a plastic laundry tie, then looked at Elena with something warmer than surprise. "Remind me never to underestimate a housekeeper." "You never did." The words left her before she could stop them. For one brief second, the danger around them disappeared. Then Mia's phone vibrated inside Elena's pocket. A new message contained a photograph of Mia bound to a chair in the basement boiler room. Beneath it was a countdown showing 42 minutes. Dante ordered the employees into the service corridor and took Vanessa's access card. "Luca wants the bracelet, but the safe deposit number is useless without a bank key," he said. Elena examined the clasp again. Under the engraved numbers, she found a tiny groove. She pressed it with her fingernail, and the center link opened. A miniature key fell into her palm. Dante stared at it, then at the faded initials engraved along its edge. C.M. Carlo Moretti, he whispered. Elena suddenly remembered her mother's final night in the hospital. She had been drifting in and out of consciousness when she pulled Elena close and said, "The boy in the basement lived because of you." Elena had assumed it was fevered confusion. Now she looked at Dante's scar near his temple and saw the teenage boy she had found 15 years earlier, behind the Belladonna's boiler room, wounded and barely conscious beside a dead man. 12-year-old Elena had called 911 from a payphone and disappeared before the police arrived because her mother begged her never to speak of it. "I was there the night your father died," Elena whispered. Dante went completely still. "You saved me." Before she could answer, the wall monitor flickered on. Security footage from 15 years ago began to play. Carlo Moretti entered the basement, carrying a file. Elena's mother followed, terrified but unharmed. Then Luca stepped into view, younger but unmistakable, accompanied by a man Dante recognized instantly. His own uncle, Gabriel Moretti. Gabriel raised a gun toward Carlo while Luca locked the door. Dante's expression turned to stone. The rival family had never murdered his father. His own blood had. Then the footage jumped to a live camera in the boiler room. Mia's chair was empty, the ropes cut cleanly, and Gabriel Moretti stood beside Luca with one hand resting on Mia's shoulder. "Bring Elena to us," Gabriel said through the monitor. "She is the only one who knows where Carlo hid the second file." A door opened behind them, and Mia looked directly into the camera. "Elena, don't trust the countdown," she warned. "They are already coming for you. They are already coming for you." Mia's warning had barely left the monitor when the laundry room lights snapped off and the fire doors slammed shut. Somewhere beyond the steel walls, boots thundered through the service corridor. Dante seized Vanessa by the arm and pulled Elena behind an industrial dryer as bullets punched through the locked door. Metal screamed. Steam hissed from the damaged pipes. Elena gripped the tiny key marked with Carlo Moretti's initials, realizing Gabrielle was not hunting her because of what she knew. He was hunting her because of what her mother had hidden. "The second file," Dante said, crouching beside her. "Where would your mother have placed it?" Elena searched 15 years of memories while armed men forced the door wider. Her mother had never owned a safe, never trusted banks, and never returned to the Belladonna after Carlo's murder. But every birthday, she had taken Elena and Mia to the old public library across the street and insisted they sit beneath the stained glass clock. "The library," Elena whispered. "There's a row of private archive boxes in the basement. Mom called one of them our emergency room." Dante glanced at the countdown still glowing on Mia's phone. 34 minutes remained. "Gabriel needs you alive long enough to open it." Vanessa laughed bitterly from the floor. "You still think the countdown is about Mia?" At midnight, Gabriel becomes acting head of the Moretti organization. Dante's captains believe he attacked the hotel and killed his own uncle to stop the merger. Dante's expression hardened. Luca forged the evidence. Luca did more than that. Your captains are gathering in the ballroom right now. If you do not appear before midnight, they vote Gabriel into power." Elena looked at Dante. His empire, his name, and Mia's life were collapsing at the same time. "Go to the ballroom," she said. "I'll reach the library." "No. Your family needs to see you alive, and Gabriel needs you alone." "Then let him believe he has me." Dante's eyes turned cold. "I will not use you as bait." Elena stepped closer until only inches separated them. Even in the darkness, she saw the conflict beneath his control. "You are not using me. I am choosing." The words silenced him. All her life, people had decided what she could handle, where she belonged, and how much space she deserved. Dante had protected her without treating her as fragile. Now she needed him to trust the strength he claimed to see. He removed his signet ring and pressed it into her palm. "This opens every secure door my family controls. If anyone stops you, show them this. And if they work for Gabriel." Dante took off his bloodstained vest and fastened it over her uniform beneath his jacket, creating a hidden layer of protection across her chest. "Then you run toward the library, and do not look back." The fire door burst inward. Dante rose, fired twice into the ceiling sprinkler line, and flooded the corridor with water and smoke. Under the cover, he pushed Vanessa toward the arriving gunman, while Elena slipped through a side hatch leading to the hotel kitchen. They separated without another word, but Dante caught her hand for one brief second. His thumb brushed across her knuckles. "Bring your sister home," he said. "Bring yourself back too." Elena ran. She crossed the dark kitchen, past terrified employees hiding behind counters, and reached the underground passage connecting the Belladonna to the library's loading dock. Behind her, alarms echoed through the hotel. Ahead, Mia's phone lit with a new message. A map appeared, showing a red dot moving through the library basement. Mia was alive, and somewhere near the archive boxes. Elena entered the passage, but halfway across, Luca stepped from the shadows with blood on his collar and a pistol in his hand. "Dante chose the ballroom," he said. "I knew he would choose power eventually." Elena raised her hands, hiding the key inside her fist. "You never understood him. And you do after one night?" "I understand that he stood in front of me when everyone else stepped away." Luca smiled. "That will make what happens next hurt more." He ordered her forward and marched her into the library basement. Gabriel waited beside Mia, who was bruised but standing, her wrists free. Rows of locked archive boxes lined the stone wall beneath the stained glass clock. Gabriel pointed toward box 214. "Your mother stole Carlo's confession before we could destroy it. Open the box." Elena inserted the tiny key. Inside lay a sealed envelope, an old recording device, and a ledger bearing the Moretti crest. Gabriel reached for them, but Mia suddenly drove her elbow into his ribs. Elena grabbed the recorder and ran toward the stairs as Luca fired. The bullet struck Dante's vest beneath her jacket and knocked her to the floor, but the protective layer held. Mia pulled her behind a stone pillar while Gabriel recovered the ledger. "The recorder is the real proof," Mia gasped. Elena pressed play. Carlo Moretti's voice filled the basement, naming Gabriel and Luca as traitors and revealing accounts that could destroy them. Then gunfire erupted upstairs. Dante appeared at the top of the staircase, injured but standing, with 3 loyal captains behind him. "The vote is over," he said. "My family heard the confession." Gabriel dragged Mia against his chest and pressed a gun beneath her chin. "One step closer, and the sister dies." Dante lowered his weapon, but Elena saw Gabriel's free hand reaching for the emergency detonator clipped to his belt. The countdown had never been for Mia. It was connected to explosives beneath the hotel ballroom, where dozens of guests and Moretti captains were still trapped. 12 seconds remained. Elena stepped out from behind the pillar holding Carlo's recorder. "You want the truth buried," she said. "Then come take it from me." Gabriel turned his gun toward her, and Dante realized too late what she was planning. Elena threw the recorder across the basement. Gabriel released Mia and lunged for it. Dante fired as Elena charged toward the detonator, but Luca rose behind him with a knife. Mia screamed. The countdown reached 3, and Elena's hand closed around the switch just as a gunshot tore through the darkness. The gunshot tore through the darkness, and Luca's knife fell from his hand before it reached Dante's back. Mia stood behind him, holding a security officer's dropped pistol, her arms shaking but her aim steady. At the same instant, Elena ripped the detonator from Gabriel's belt and slammed the red switch beneath her thumb. The countdown froze at 1 second. For a heartbeat, nobody moved. Then Dante crossed the basement and drove Gabriel away from the recorder with a single controlled strike. His loyal captains surrounded the traitor while Luca collapsed beside the staircase, wounded but alive. Dante could have looked at the men who had betrayed him, or the evidence that had restored his power. Instead, he went straight to Elena. She was still kneeling on the stone floor, clutching the detonator, as if releasing it might bring the explosion back. "Elena," he said softly. She looked up, and the fear she had held inside all night finally broke through. "I almost lost her." Dante lowered himself in front of her, ignoring the blood running down his sleeve. "But you did not." He took the device from her trembling hand and set it aside. "You saved your sister. You saved my family. You saved everyone in that ballroom." Elena shook her head. "Mia found the truth, and you had the courage to carry it into the dark." Mia rushed forward and wrapped her arms around Elena. The sisters held each other beneath the cold basement lights, crying and laughing at once. Dante stood close enough to protect them without interrupting the reunion. When Elena finally pulled back, she touched the bruise on Mia's cheek and whispered, "I thought I would never see you again." Mia smiled through her tears. "I knew you would come." Police sirens grew louder outside as Dante's captains escorted Gabriel and Luca upstairs with Carlo Moretti's recording, the stolen ledgers, and Vanessa's testimony. Vanessa had tried to bargain for freedom, but the hotel surveillance system had captured her role in the kidnapping, the false accusations, and the attempt to frame Elena. By sunrise, Gabriel's network had been exposed. Luca's stolen accounts had been frozen, and every false alert bearing Elena's photograph had been removed. In the Belladonna ballroom, the guests who had once watched Elena like she was invisible now stood in silence as Dante entered with her beside him. His shirt was torn, his face bruised, and his authority stronger than ever. Vanessa's father stepped forward, offering excuses about misunderstandings and rogue employees. Dante placed Carlo's recorder on the signing table. "There will be no merger," he said. "Your family used this hotel to hide kidnappings, theft, and betrayal." He turned toward Elena, who stood beneath the chandelier in his blood-stained jacket. "And you allowed an innocent woman to be mocked while she searched for the truth." The hotel owner lowered his eyes. Dante faced the gathered staff. "Her name is Elena Brooks. You will use it with respect." No one dared speak. Then Dante announced that the Belladonna would be transferred to an independent trust for its employees, and that Elena would oversee the new worker protection program if she chose to accept. Elena stared at him. "You are giving me a job?" "I am offering you authority," he said. "The choice remains yours." It was the first time a powerful man had placed an opportunity before her without attaching control to it. She looked around the ballroom, no longer pulling the jacket close to hide herself. "Then, I accept." Weeks later, Mia began working with investigators to protect other employees who had been threatened into silence. Elena rebuilt the hotel into a place where no worker was treated as disposable. Dante visited often, never arriving with demands. He remembered how she took her coffee, listened when she disagreed with him, and never touched her without giving her space to choose. One evening, they stood together on the hotel rooftop as warm sunset lights spread across Chicago. Dante removed his coat and placed it around her shoulders, not because she needed hiding, but because the wind had turned cold. "You once told me I was used to apologizing for taking up space," Elena said. "You were. I am not anymore." Dante looked at her with the rare softness no enemy had ever seen. Good. The world is better with more of you in it. Elena smiled, then took his hand in full view of everyone below. The feared Mafia boss had regained his empire, but the greater victory was learning to trust a woman who had seen the wounded man beneath his power. Elena had found her sister, reclaimed her dignity, and discovered that she had never been too much or difficult to love. She had only spent too long surrounded by people who could not recognize her worth, and as Dante leaned closer beneath the golden sky, she understood that love had not rescued her from weakness. It had met her at the exact moment she chose her own strength. Would you have trusted Dante after finding that hotel key in his bloodstained shirt, or would you have walked away before discovering the truth? Share your answer in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional Mafia boss stories filled with danger, healing, and unforgettable love.